Hey everyone, welcome back to the Food Freedom series. We are just chugging right along here. Today we are talking about eating the rainbow. Eat the rainbow, taste the rainbow as made popular per Skittles, but we're not going to be talking about candy. We're going to be talking about vegetables. And a really good resource to complement this, I did just make a vegetable guide that has over 25 different vegetables, and it shows you basically best practices for prepping them, storing them, how to eat them. Because veggies can be tough. Veggies are kind of like known to be gross, and some people really like them. Some people eat them raw. I have found that people who don't like vegetables tend to just not prep them the right way, or they're not picking ones that they enjoy. There's a lot of great tactics for sneaking things in. For instance, through smoothies, you can easily blend in kale or spinach, different types of the pre-made kind of like frozen smoothie fruits and vegetables where you can sneak them in without even knowing that they're there. Getting frozen like pre-chopped onions, peppers, again, spinach, kale, and throwing them in with eggs, mixing them in with eggs. If you do ground beef and just throwing it in there, or your pasta sauce, whatever you're going to be doing, there's so many ways you can do the basics with like garlic, onion, kale, spinach, throw them in there, sneak them in, and it really doesn't adjust taste that much. If anything, it's going to enhance it. For the other guys I'm going to be talking about, usually air frying or roasting your veggies is a great way to make them taste good. So sprinkling a little bit of olive oil or avocado oil, you can use the actual oil, you can use spray oil, and then seasoning it up with a really good seasoning. You can kind of adjust it based on your preference. If you want more of like an Indian spicy seasoning, you can go like the garlic Italian kind of route. You can do salty, you can do Lowry's seasoning, you can even make it probably sweet if you want, with some cinnamon and nutmeg, especially with the orange types of vegetables here in the rainbow. So there are some ways that you can spice it up. Roast them till they're crispy, at least I'd say usually between 20 to 40 plus minutes on like 350 to 400 degrees. You can usually Google whatever vegetables you want to do, but this really makes a difference in taste. So just some suggestions there for you before we kind of dive in, okay? And you can always reach out to me if you have specific questions and you're like, I hate vegetables, what the heck can I do? Or I want to try this vegetable, how can I add this in? I gotcha. But looking at the rainbow, it's important to eat the rainbow and vary the types of foods that you're eating and vegetables, because they all serve different purposes and they have different health benefits to them. We won't get into detail of what those are today, but they, like I said, they offer different vitamins and nutrients, and they act in different ways. Like it's kind of fun to Google and look up what the benefits are. Like, I'm obsessed with peaches right now, and they are in season. They taste delicious, and I was like, I love peaches so much. What are the benefits? And I looked it up, and it's really a good source of vitamin A, and it's great at warding off lung and oral cancer. So each of these vegetables in these color categories are going to offer you different benefits. And for fun, definitely look them up. But I would definitely try to have a rainbow and variety if you can. Another tip would be to make sure that you eat in season. And again, an easy way to do this, I'll post it in the client group usually when it's like a new season, what is in season for the month or the season itself. Again, you can look these up on Pinterest or just Google it to see what fruits and vegetables are in season, because obviously you're going to get the best quality at that time. It's going to have the most nutrients. They're usually going to be cheaper as well. So there are some benefits, and it's kind of fun to cook and eat for the season and maybe make your dinners and your meals around that. So keep that in mind as well as we go through here. So let's just kind of briefly go over the different colors that there are. We have white. Okay, white. We have a white carrot, which I've actually never seen before. I've actually started to see white asparagus as well. That's because it's grown in the ground, so it doesn't produce any chlorophyll. I think the nutrients are the same. It's just kind of fancy because it looks white. Garlic, essential, very essential, lots of great health benefits. Onions and garlic would be a great base for my people who want to get in whites that maybe aren't adventurous with things. Shallots also kind of can be similar to onions and garlic, but literally throwing it into any dish when you cook with oil, and it really won't sacrifice flavor. If anything, it's going to enhance the flavor. You can caramelize your onions, you can bake your onions, you could throw it in with a crock pot meal, an instant meal, whatever. So many good options here. Jerusalem artichoke, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what that is, but I know I get these resources from my nutrition certification. They try to bring in all cultures with this, so this might be something from maybe like a Middle Eastern culture or something that I'm not really familiar with. We have cauliflower. I'm not the biggest fan of cauliflower raw, but there are, those kind of healthy substitutes of like cauliflower rice and cauliflower gnocchi in the frozen section that you can really use to enhance your meals. So that would be a good like sub if you want to like sneak in some white vegetables that way as well. We went over shallots and mushrooms. You either love mushrooms or you hate them. I posted that in the Facebook group, and it kind of seems split. If you love them, you love them. If you hate them, you hate them. I'm a personal mushroom lover. I could actually eat them raw. I know, I'm crazy. My husband doesn't like mushrooms, but I could throw them in anything. I use the big mushrooms for like my crust of mini pizzas. They're just so delicious. I apologize if you don't like mushrooms. So that's the white row. The purple row, we're moving into the purples. Purples are really great. Usually the darker and deeper the vegetable color, the more nutrients you're going to get out of it. Like purple grapes are usually a little bit more healthier for you than the green grapes. The green grapes don't have as many health benefits and they're a little bit higher in sugar, even though they're natural sugar. But here we have purple carrots. One that I don't see on here because they're not going to show everything, but purple potatoes, you can usually get like the little baby potatoes, reds, yellows, and purples is a good mix, and you don't really sacrifice taste. They don't really taste that different, but that'd be a great way to get some variety with colors as well, so having the purple, red, and yellow potato mix. I know Aldi's is infamous for like selling those. I used to get them there all the time. But we have purple carrots. Purple asparagus. I have yet to see this. I do know, like, sometimes when you look at the green of the asparagus, it has some purple in it. So I'm wondering if it's kind of like peppers, like, depending on what phase it's in, it can change. And I see purple peppers on here as well. I'm not familiar with this. Maybe you guys are, but that's pretty cool. I gotta, like, open my eyes with this. Cabbage. Cabbage is great. Again, if you're not a big vegetable person, getting shredded cabbage. I know if I make, like, egg roll in a bowl, really great, healthy, easy recipe. I'll serve it with rice, on a bed of rice, either like pork sausage or just ground beef seasoned with like soy sauce or the aminos and, some Asian seasoning. But the cabbage, I'll get the shredded cabbage mix, and it's like a slaw, so they'll use regular cabbage, purple cabbage, and broccoli, shredded broccoli. And when you bake it down, cook it down with everything, it tastes really good. It's not as, usually eating raw vegetables is kind of like nastier, at least in my opinion. But we have that. Eggplant is another good one. This one's kind of overlooked. It's harder to cook with because it's watery, so when you do cook with it, you got to make sure that you either salt it, which isn't always the best, right? We don't want a ton of salt on there, or you can lay it out in paper towels to kind of dry it out. But there is eggplant parmesan, roasted eggplant with seasoning. I have done this before and I've used it before. For me, I kind of have to make the conscious effort to use it, but it is useful. Purple cauliflower, again, something I haven't really seen, and rutabaga, not something I really use, but there are some purples in here. Orange and yellow, I would say. So we have pumpkins. That's fun for the fall time, right? Pumpkin's kind of hard to use, I feel like, unless maybe we use it for a pie. You do have to like kind of core it out, but pumpkin seeds would be included in there, I think. There are probably some meals that I can't think of off the top of my head, but you could probably use pumpkin in it. I'm going more the sweet route. Then we have orange peppers, and again, I think this kind of classifies all peppers, really. But orange peppers, there are different varieties now, like Hawaiian sweet peppers, where they're kind of like orange, yellow, and red tie-dye almost, and those taste really good. We have yellow peppers on there. Butternut squash. Our orange and yellow peppers are going to tend to be a little bit sweeter. Squash, butternut squash, acorn squash. I've seen these used as a good kind of like potato substitute, rice substitute. It's like a good carby side that's vegetables. You could throw it into a salad. People tend to use it with sweeter stuff with like maple syrup or honey, but you can also make it savory. It's almost like a sweet potato. You can kind of dress it up how you like. I'm surprised sweet potatoes aren't on here. I guess they're kind of straying away from the starchy carbs because even though it's a vegetable, it's just like in its own little category. We have yellow beets, yellow carrots. I have had yellow carrots. Those are delicious, fun to play around with. regular carrots, and summer squash. Yes. And I love it. Squash, even like zucchini squash, the yellow zucchini squash, great to add when I made a dish of chicken Alfredo, homemade with homemade sauce. I didn't make it like a healthier sauce, but a great way to kind of give some more nutrients into it so it's not as heavy and you're not maybe doing as much pasta. I did add yellow squash and zucchini squash to it. It made it really nice. You could throw some mushrooms in there if you're a mushroom lover. So even just little changes like that. I threw some spinach in. So instead of just having plain chicken, heavy Alfredo sauce and like heavy noodles, throwing in those veggies in there gives you that boost of nutrients. So that's a great way to kind of add some stuff in to a traditionally like heavy, hearty type meal, right? Then we have the reds. Not everybody can do tomatoes or nightshades. I know for acidity reasons, sometimes it's like a dietary thing. So, but you still have options in here. So we have tomatoes, and I know not everybody loves tomatoes, so you don't have to use it. But salsa would be a great avenue to sneak in some tomatoes if you can eat it. Adding salsa to your eggs, blending it up in sauces, cooking it down. Like I'll do roasted tomatoes. I have a little tomato plant outside. I just did chicken parm, and I got little cherry tomatoes, seasoned them with oil and seasonings, and then I cooked it so they were kind of like poppy and mushy, and it gave more of a sauce consistency, and it doesn't necessarily taste like tomato. It tastes more like tomato sauce. Okay. Red leaf lettuce. I am familiar with this. I actually use this in my wraps. Beets, not a big beet fan, but you either love it or you hate it. There's a lot of great health benefits to beets. Radicchio, not really sure what that is. Radishes. Rhubarb, I am familiar with rhubarb. I'm not a big radish fan either. Red cabbage, again, kind of going back to the egg roll in a bowl. Red peppers. Red peppers still have a sweetness to them. They're just different variations, a little bit different tastes. And red onion. Red onion's really great for a certain dish because it has that certain bite to it. So if you want a certain flavor, for lack of a better comparison of something, but the Big Mac or any burger really tends to use, I've noticed, I don't know if the Big Mac actually uses red or white. I can't think off the top of my head, but there is a certain type of burger that uses red onion, and that particular flavor really adds to it. So if you're going for a certain flavor, or like, I'll give you a healthier alternative. Guacamole tends to use red onion. It really brings out the flavor. It gives you that strong bite, but it with everything else mixed in there, it just has a good taste. So I think incorporating veggies too comes with a little bit of, again, this knowledge, cooking knowledge, seeing what flavors mix well together. And if you truly do it right, cook it right, season it right, you'll learn to love vegetables for sure. Okay, so that's the red. And then we have green, which tends to be the biggest option here. But we have green beans. Love green beans. My husband's obsessed with green beans. I like frozen. I like canned. Tonight I'm actually making a cod dish with rice and green beans. I did get them fresh, so I'm going to roast them in the oven. So spray them with olive oil, some garlic salt, some different seasonings. Cook them down till they're nice and crunchy, a little bit browned. Gonna be delicious. Kale. I'm actually a big kale fan. I like it better than spinach. I always get it frozen because there's no way I'm going to use it all up unless I cooked it down in something. But I love frozen because I can just take little bits of it, mix it into some eggs. I actually, again, did that the other night. I did breakfast for dinner, so I did eggs. I mixed in the leftover kale I had, some feta cheese. It was delicious. Just trying to give you guys some ideas here. Chinese cabbage. Again, probably something that you're going to find in the egg roll in a bowl reference. Snap peas, I don't think I necessarily hate them, but I never go out of my way to really eat them. They are common in salads or Asian dishes. Asparagus, I love asparagus. Derek is not the biggest fan of asparagus, but this is great either fried or baked. Again, seasoned. Just makes your pea smell a little funky, but it's really good for you. Arugula, I love to use this in my wraps as well. I mean, with the spinach, arugula, kale, you can really mix and match these. These are really great and they have a ton of different health benefits. Some people do need to watch because of the extra calcium. So if you're prone to like kidney stones and things like that or calcium buildup, they may want you to limit these things. So just be aware of that. But taste-wise, you're not really seeing too much, even with the lettuce. Like you can definitely mix and match and have a nice variety. Brussels sprouts. I freaking love Brussels sprouts. I'm telling you, air fryer Brussels sprouts with a little bit of balsamic in there. Garlic salt, so they're a little crispy, is delicious. A great side dish to add with anything, especially in the fall time. raisins and almonds, or not raisins, walnuts, and honey, not almonds, but you could probably do almonds. Celery's great. Again, can be cooked down in things like chicken noodle soup. Adding some spice, that little bit of that spicy taste into crock pot meals would be great. Again, snacking on it, peanut butter, dipping it in, some sort of dressing. Great to have. Green peppers, pretty standard. If you do stuffed peppers, adding it almost with onions. Usually onions and peppers is a great pair for a lot of different meals. Cucumbers, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I've ever really seen a dish with cooked down cucumbers. We know that pickles are from cucumbers, so you can use pickles on things, but cucumbers I tend to see more in salads, in fresh dishes. If you're going the Greek route, they'll use it a lot as uncooked in like gyros and in their tzatziki dip and stuff like that, so that's kind of where you can use it for that. Iceberg lettuce, not a huge fan of iceberg lettuce. It tastes like water, and the crap, it's usually crap quality. There's been a lot of listeria with it, and shredded lettuce is just so hard to come by, so I tend to go more towards the kale, arugula, and stuff route, but I mean, it's definitely not a bad option. Cabbage again. Broccoli's hit or miss for me. If it's mixed in with a dish, I like it. Again, it just needs to be cooked and seasoned right. I'll definitely get it frozen so I can steam it in the microwave really easily. Romaine lettuce, collard greens, cook it down in anything, and spinach, which everybody uses spinach for everything. So, I didn't touch on everything, and this doesn't show every single vegetable, but I think it's a good representation of the different kind of colors and the varieties that you can get. I hope I sparked some ideas for you. Again, if you want to discuss more on certain vegetables or you have a certain question, feel free to message me. But yeah, let's eat more of the rainbow.